I'm afraid I've got some bad news. I knew it. I love when he does that.
Well, once you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up. So good luck, okay? Good luck.
You say rock bottom, but, like, it just seems like things keep getting worse. What is rock bottom? Who decides what's the bottom of all this? I mean, seriously, you go, okay, today is Friday, and I woke up in Cleveland, and I'm going, how much worse can it get?
Don't pound me down, you piece of shit! Shut your mouth! Look at me, Tony! Look at me! I want you to fire me! You fucking mark! Fire me! Fire me! How you think they gonna feel when they introduce your boys as the new WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champions? I don't know, Uce. They might be cheering. Yeah. They might be booing. Yeah. Little kids might be crying. Oh, yeah. We got grown men out there crying. Yeah. But they still might be hating on the Usos. Hating on us. Why? Because we went out there and did what we said we was going to do.
Buffalo, all your babbling is interfering with my machine. So for the next few minutes, please just do me a favor and kindly shoot.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to episode 340 of the Hoots podcast. It's Thursday, December 22nd, 2022. Hope you guys are enjoying your week so far. We are just mere few days away from Christmas. Hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season, depending on which particular holiday you choose to acknowledge and participate. As you guys see, it's the title of this week's episode. We're calling it Merry Ucemas. So from myself and Brother Carter, we want to wish all of you a wonderful holiday season. And thank you for supporting us here with the Hoots podcast. Like I mentioned on Twitter the other day, we are going to wrap up 2022 with some episodes of the Hoots podcast. So not only are you going to get this episode before Christmas, but next week I'll do a final synopsis of 2022. So don't fret. We're not going on vacation or anything like that. It's going to be me and you guys for the next 2 weeks, but as we wait Brother Carter's return at the beginning of 2023, I figured this would be a good time to put a nice ribbon on the bow of 2022, which was the Hoots podcast. And I thought I'll get more retrospective about this show in general next week and how I felt about this year for us as a show and a podcast. But I'm really proud of this year. It's been one of my favorite years of the show, and as Brother Carter mentioned last week, I was thinking about putting this on a hold. I wasn't sure if I still wanted to do this earlier back in February or whenever we did episode 300. But I'm glad that I decided to continue on with the show. And we're here to give you a positive mental escape, make you laugh, make you think. And we're here for a good time. And I just want to say again for myself and Brother Carter, we appreciate you guys giving a shit about this podcast because I know there's a lot to choose from. There's a lot of great podcasts out there. There's a lot of great, there's a lot of big platforms that have podcasting. There's 500 wrestling podcasts you can choose from. But the fact that you stuck with us for the last 6 years doesn't go unrecognized. And I just want to say thank you. So today it's going to be different vibes. This is going to be me and you guys chilling, shooting the shit. I got a bunch of questions to answer here in the Back Porch Q&A session, which we'll do. We'll go into this week in WWE. May sprinkle in some discussion about WrestleKingdom. So be on the lookout for that. That's right around the corner. And, of course, we'll wrap it up with a holiday edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. So I guess before we get started with the questions, I'd like to remind everybody, if this is your first time watching or listening to the Hoots podcast, it comes to you free of charge every single Thursday, anywhere you get your podcast from. And we also drop new episodes of the Hoots podcast on our YouTube channel at the Hoots podcast. That's our handle. Go there, type it in. It's easy to find. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And for those who are watching on YouTube, like this video. And as you're watching this, let us know to you, what was your favorite moment of 2022 for professional wrestling? What, like, if you could put professional wrestling in 2022 in one word, like, how would you describe that? Put it in the comment section down below. I'd love to see you guys' responses. Other plugs, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can, at the Hoots Podcast. Same deal. Pretty easy, right? You can follow me at Instagram if you like, at Josh Lopez Media, at Josh Lopez Music. Also, make sure to follow Brother Carter's work at DerekStockton.com. That meaning his musical work. And also make sure to support his work at WrestlingRivers.net. And if you want to see my contributions to the wrestling writing field, if you will, please give a bookmark to ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. You certainly will not regret that decision. So all the plugs are out of the way. Let's have some fun. And I'm in a good mood, man. I was thinking about it today. We've been inundated with reports about this big blizzard coming here in the Midwest, here in Chicago. I'm from Chicago, for those who are watching or listening to this for the first time. Yeah, it's supposed to be like bombarded with snow and freezing temperatures. So this morning it's been nothing but trying to stock up some food and some stuff for the house. That's why I'm recording a little later than I usually do. But yeah, I'm in good spirits. This Christmas is gonna be a little different than others, but that's okay. Not saying that I'm not in the Christmas spirit, but I just want to try a little something different on Twitter this year by having the Grinch as my avatar. But trust me, don't fret, I am not a Grinch. But yeah, I guess this year I'm taking Christmas kind of slow and just by myself, and I'm okay with that. There's a lot of football to enjoy for Christmas Eve, which is taking place on Saturday, of course, and then we got 3 games on Sunday for Christmas Day. So it's very rare you have a Christmas and Christmas Eve land both on a Saturday and Sunday, following that with New Year's and New Year's Eve. So it's a little different compared to past Christmases where it'd be like on a Wednesday, what? Or a Thursday, what? Or, maybe a Monday, what? It's like, okay, here's your little holidays, and then, boom, you're right back to work the next day. But we're going to make the best out of it. It's kind of a slow week in the world of professional wrestling. I really don't take these weeks for granted. I think a lot of us in the wrestling content creation world could be maybe restless, wait for something like major to happen. There's not a day one pay-per-view coming up soon. I think the next big show that's coming up wrestling-wise is WrestleKingdom, and that's a week from next Saturday. No, a week from next Wednesday. So that's January 4th. And we don't have the Royal Rumble to the 28th. So we got a long time before the next major premium live event. I feel like basically people are restless during this time when it comes to WWE. But there's a lot of good stuff that's going on. And I think we'll address a little bit about that in This Week in WWE. Kind of talk about, how things are going on. I'm seeing a lot of takes about the Triple H era being disappointed, and reports about him being upset about the returns that maybe have or haven't planned out. And it's like, I don't know if people really thought that every little thing that they had issues with the product was going to change in 2 or 3 months, let alone maybe even a full year. Okay, if we're working on the premise that everything pre-Vince McMahon getting fired and being forced to retire, if we're working with the premise this week that everything in that era sucked, right? If that's the narrative that we're rocking with, okay, tell me why then the Bloodline is still the number one group in the entire industry. Why are guys like Drew McIntyre still over? Why are people yearning for Charlotte to come back? Not to say that there's not bad things going on in WWE. There's nothing perfect about the world of professional wrestling, but it's like, I don't know if people were expecting some regaling change where the product was at the bottom end of the totem pole and there was no returning back with Vince McMahon in charge. And it's kind of like people look at it as like a bad football team and they get a new general manager and it's like, oh, we have this big rebuild that we got to do. You know, there's a lot of people that like WWE the way it was, and a lot of the performers that are brought in had a lot of experience in NXT. A lot of this casual audience that you go to these shows like Toledo, Ohio, Des Moines, Iowa, et cetera, they don't know who these people are. And I got a lot of questions this week about, you know, what do you think about the returns? Has there been a disappointing one? Has Triple H dropped the ball as Booker or taken over for Vince? And I'm like, I watched the product. I'm seeing things have more rhyme or reason. I'm seeing matches gain more time, which is, I think, what everybody wanted, especially on Monday Night Raw. I think what I've always tied down to my issues with the product over the years is commentary, and I feel like commentary can really put a window dressing and blanket over the little things that people seem to harp on every single week on these shows. And look, I cover the industry. I'm fortunate to say that, yes, wrestling does pay my bills. But, you know, I'm watching the show for what it is, and I feel like, again, the constant need to put your opinion of booking, something you've never been responsible for, as your main emphasis of why you watch the show and how you analyze it and how you sit through it, it's kind of funny to me because you're really making yourself look like an ass out of everybody. It's like, I can understand, you know, having excitement and wanting to have that fantasy bookie feel like, oh, I can't wait to see what's going to happen here, what's going to happen there, what's going to happen there. But pro wrestling has never been Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, The Sopranos. Pro wrestling has never been that. The model of it doesn't work that way. When we've had pro wrestling on television, weekly, episodically, like this, since 1993, we're about to reach the 30th anniversary of Raw. And I think the main thing I want to express this week is that, like, not every answer you need on a character or a feud has to be answered in 1 week's episode of Raw or SmackDown. You know, I make my jokes about Tony Khan shooting his load all the time on Dynamite, but I understand that that's his flagship show, and that's the only important show of the week that AEW produces. So, yeah, he has to put more extra emphasis on it, but with the volume of content that WWE produces and how they structure their business model, it's not designed for it to have epic conclusions and every Raw and SmackDown being pay-per-view quality or go-home show formatting and match lineups and stuff like that. It's like, maybe I can see the bigger picture for me because, like, when I watch different promotions, I'm watching it for what it is. And I can watch a show from here. I can watch MLW and I know what I'm going to get from them. I can watch NWA and I know what I'm going to get from them. I can watch New Japan and I know what I'm going to get from them. Like, I have a singular focus when I cover these shows. So it's like, okay, here's WWE. I know when we get to the premium live events, that's when I expect the big time moments, the epic drawn out matches, et cetera, the stuff you see people fetch and cry out for on Twitter all the time. But again, as you guys listen to the Hoots podcast, I don't believe that Twitter should be the main source or barometer of what's over or not. More times than not, people on Twitter don't know really what they want out of professional wrestling. So when we get to these debates about, oh, Triple H is dropping the ball with Johnny Gargano. Triple H is dropping the ball as Booker. Oh, we're getting reports Triple H is disappointed on how half of the returns are going on. And, oh, I can't believe Triple H paired up Bronson Reed with The Miz this week. I'm like, okay. These are all the same people, all of you, on every podcast, on every website, on every Twitter page, vent and bitched about them getting released, how they got dealt a dirty hand, and that the main roster doesn't care about NXT performers. I feel like people are still like watching WWE and analyzing as if Vince is still making the decisions of the show. They can't see that bigger launcher stories are being told, and it's not going at a rapid pace, and you're not getting every single answer to every single question that you have. Because, okay, I can understand, and look, I get it about quick attention spans and stuff like that. I can understand and respect that, but at the same time, don't be that person that says, oh, I want long-term storytelling in my pro wrestling, and then bitch about the fact that you don't know who Uncle Howdy is. You know what I mean? So I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to this segment, but let's get to the questions this week. So we start off, as we usually do, on the Hoots podcast with our good brother Chris Zaletta at XTZaletta24X on Twitter. He says, what up, Hoots? Here's the question for the Q&A this week. Thoughts on Bronson Reed's return to WWE? Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I was really happy to see him. I think Bronson did a lot of great work in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I enjoyed covering his work with TMDK. And I think, again, another guy that maybe got released prematurely and never really got a chance to showcase what he could do on that stage. And I look at how the towns are, not how I perceive how their booking is going to be. Again, you're listening to somebody who doesn't think booking is the be-all, end-all of professional wrestling. And the reason why I look at it that way is because I've never been a booker, so I'm not going to come here and insult your intelligence and act as if I do know how that's supposed to go. So I'm happy for him. But the notion and the whole thing about, oh, I can't believe how he goes from beating Okada in a G1 match when Jonah did not win the G1. How does he go from that to fighting helping out the Miz? What are we doing here? Are we in the wrestling business, or we're in the wrestling? You know, you have to. I need words of affirmation business. Is this business about making money or getting a nice pub from the dirt sheets and Twitter? You know, I love Jonah's work. He's the man. He's really good for what he does for a guy his size. He cuts solid promos. I'm happy to see him back, but the whole argument about, oh, I can't believe he downgraded himself from beating Okada in the G1 match, even though Jonah did not even qualify for the finals of G1. I just love the people that act like they know what's going on with New Japan, and you can tell they don't really know what's really going on or actually watch the product. Let's go to the next question. Thoughts on Hikaru, Shida, and Jamie Hayter match? I enjoyed it. I'll expand my thoughts a little bit more about it and what the hell is wrong with AEW, because there's aspects of it I didn't like, but I did appreciate the physicality, and it was nice to see that both those ladies got a chance to main event the show. So I thought it was pretty solid. Who has risen and fallen in the NFL MVP race? I think for me, as far as who's really rising, is Joe Burrow out of everybody. If you ask me right now who I think the MVP of the NFL is, I think it's Joe Burrow. You take Joe Burrow out of the Bengals, I don't even know if they have 4 wins. I don't even know who their backup quarterback is. And, all due respect to Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, like, they have a solid roster and a good defense. But Joe Burrow is really the engine that makes that team go. So I really think for me, Joe Burrow's the one that really risen for me. And honestly, I think Mahomes is kind of dipping as far as my pick. Like, I just think that Patrick Mahomes being the MVP is low-hanging fruit. The guy could win it every year, But for the fact for him, and this is just me. I respect the guy. He has a gazillion stats. He's won a Super Bowl. I get it. It's Twitter's favorite quarterback of all time. I understand that. But if you take away the highlight plays and scramble drill throws, what's there? The fact that he has to beat the Houston Texans in overtime with scrambled drill throws, I'm not impressed by that. Is that really you, an MVP? I don't see that. Best Christmas gift you have received. This is a good one. I got two. I think one is personally for myself. The one I got myself was my trip to Dallas for Mania this past year. And then one that I got from my parents were the Beatles rock band set. That was one of my favorite Christmas gifts. For those who don't know me, I'm a really big fan of rock band. Obviously, you guys know I talked about my passive loving music and playing music. So I loved all the Guitar Heroes, the rock bands, stuff like that. I love playing the drums on rock band, and I love the Beatles rock band was my favorite one out of all of them. So to get that one was really special to have. So that one really stands out to me. Where do you currently stand on your Chicago Bulls so far this season? Look, things gotta pick up. I know they've won their last 2 games, but I don't know what to believe for these reports about dysfunction and stuff like that. I think something has to give, because I don't know how they go for the beginning part of last year, being the number 1 seed. Lonzo Ball gets injured, and then the shit hits the fan, and now everybody wants them to blow it up, trade people, do this and that. And I don't know what's going on with Lonzo Ball. I don't know if this is an act where he's just trying to linger on his injury because he has his money. I don't know what the issue is. Either they got to find a way to start work as a team, or try to trade for some people. And if that's not going to work out, then consider about blowing it up. But again, I'm tired of having to ponder the idea of another Chicago sports franchise rebuilding. I'm so tired of rebuilds. Blackhawk, rebuild. What? White Sox, rebuild. What? Cubs, rebuild. What? The Bears, rebuild. What? I feel like all of our teams have been rebuilding for the last 20 fucking years. We can rebuild 100 times and nothing's going to change. Stop playing into peer pressure for your freaking radio stations and actually make some smart decisions and go about your business. But we're getting criticized on ESPN 1000. That means we gotta rebuild. Come on, man. Do you think Kylie Ray will sign with WWE? Well, I know she had a tryout, and I think she had a match recently on Main Event. I honestly, Chris, I think that's up to her, and I liked her work. I've covered her work a bunch of times from NWA and Impact, and she's very talented in what she does. It's up to her for what she wants. I know this girl that's kind of gone the Leo Rush route, where she's retired but didn't retire and stuff like that. And I want what's best for her and what she wants for her and her mental health at the end of the day. And if she wants to give it a shot, go ahead. And I always say this to every person that goes out there in wrestling, know what you're signing up for. That's what I'm going to say. Is there any of the Triple H rehires that have been underwhelming in your eyes? I can't really pinpoint one. I mean, I really love what I see from LA Knight. You know, nice to see Tegan Knox back on my screen. Emma's been back. Love the stuff with Cross and Scarlett, of course. Bray's been killing it. Braun is doing his stuff. I only say this because I haven't got more detail out of it. I know they've done the vignettes and stuff like that, but if I had to pick one, it's probably Sarah Logan or Valhalla. And I like the stuff with the Viking Raiders, but I like to hear more promos from them. You know, that's probably it for me. But like again, going back to Sarah Logan, I wasn't like one of those people like, oh, I can't believe she ripped off Max the Impaler. I didn't really care about that whole deal. You know, I don't know why that was a big deal on Twitter, but can I say Dexter Lumis? I don't know. It's not that I'm indifferent towards him. I can't really pinpoint one person that he's brought back and I'm like, oh, get him off my TV. Oh, I'm not interested in seeing him. I don't feel that way. Last question here for Chris. He says, thoughts on Jonathan Gresham addition to Impact Wrestling? Good. Scott D'Amore, Booker of 2022. Another mistake by Tony Khan. So, yeah, I think that's great. I think it's really cool that Jonathan Gresham got signed. I think that's cool. I think it'd be a good fit for Impact. And he's fighting Eddie Edwards at Hard to Kill. That's going to be a very, very good match. That should be awesome. And I think Impact's a good company for him. You know, if you're a performer that's really tied into just wrestling and you let your work be your character, I think Impact's probably the place for you. You know, look at guys like Steve Maclin or Josh Alexander. They're not the biggest character guys in the world, but they're over because of their work. And, you know, people say Jonathan Gresham is that guy. I have no doubts he'll prove that in Impact, so I think it's a cool deal that he got signed there. It's a good fit for him. I don't have any issues with that. All right, next question comes from Patrick Fritz, the good brother at Rated PWF. He says, do you think it's a good idea to have spoiled episodes of Raw and SmackDown going into the holidays? I'm 50-50 on it. It really doesn't bother me, Pat, because I really don't look out for spoilers, so it doesn't bother me. I can tell when a show is taped or not, don't get me wrong, but like I really don't think about that, so it's really not a big deal. Best holiday traditions you ever seen? I don't know a lot of people's Christmas traditions, to be honest with you. I know for me, my favorite holiday tradition is playing guitar with my grandpa. Sucks I won't be able to do that this year, but that's probably the one for me that really stands out the most. Colored or white Christmas lights? What's your preference? Good one. I'm fine with the color ones. We really do it well here in Chicago, and I know it's all across the country, but there's some like really creative designs in, you know, Christmas light decorations I've seen in the city. You know, I've come home from events at the Allstate Arena in Rosemont, and you go through the highway and you see these beautiful Christmas decorations and stuff like that. It's really impressive. White Christmas lights are cool too, if that's what you like. But for me, if my preference would probably be multicolored Christmas lights. That's a good question. All right, next batch of questions here come from the good brother Nate the Great at Psycho Nagiri. Make sure to follow it there at Psycho Nagiri. Would you like any matches at WrestleKingdom to be made into gimmick matches of some kind? No. There's nothing on the card right now where I feel like it needs to be no DQ, disqualification. The only one that I would even consider it would be Carl Anderson and Tama Tonga for the Never Openweight Championship. But outside of that, just keep it in the ring. They break the rules anyway, so it really doesn't matter. With New Japan, it's like they don't give a shit about the referees. I could go on for days and days about how terrible Marty Asami is as a referee, or Kenta Sato, and how they're just horrible. They can't handle rules. They let people attack each other on the outside with steel chairs and bell hammers, and they let Suzuki do whatever he wants. The whole House of Torture stuff, like, that's a whole nother show in itself, guys. Like, but if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Tama Tonga and Carl Anderson would be my pick for a gimmick match. You know, you could add Hikuleo and Doc Gallows, and here's the thing: those two will probably interfere in that match anyway. So you see where I'm coming from with that, right? All right, talked about Bronson Reed. Where would you like to see Dexter go from here? If they're going to keep him and Johnny Gargano together, just make him a tag team. See where that goes. If not, I'm curious about that too, because I really don't know what he does. I guess that's the charm of Dexter Lumis. You really don't know what's going to happen with him. What about this? Let's say like Dexter Lumis is like the hitman for Johnny Gargano, but with a babyface slight to it. You know what I mean? Let's say that Gargano gets in a feud with Baron Corbin. I know they had a couple run-ins with him and JBL, but you can really explore into that and let like Lumis play mind games with JBL and let him not interfere in matches and stuff like that. So maybe that'd be a direction I can see that working for Dexter Lumis. Who's the worst best team? He's saying his Vikings. Man, I don't know. There's a lot to choose from. You can go to the 7-9 Seahawks that made the playoffs, but also beat the Saints in the playoffs. You can go. It's really hard to choose from. I mean, I think didn't the Cardinals, when they went to the Super Bowl against Pittsburgh, weren't they like a wild card team? I can say them. If we're talking about currently with like rosters that I think they're the worst best team, I could say the Vikings are in there. I can say that. You know, a lot of people put up the Miami Dolphins. I know they have a great. They got like they have like a wide variety of big name players, but are they really a good team? Andy Phillip Rivers, Chargers playoff teams. I thought the Colts team he was on was pretty bad too when they made the playoffs a couple years ago. I think that's pretty much it. But if we're talking about like currently, right now, as far as teams that I feel like, yeah, your record ain't really what your team is, I could probably say for sure it's the Vikings. Who's the word? My bad. 3 words to describe your 2022. Interesting, revealing, and interesting, revealing, and pure. I'll say that. This year's not been easy for me. It hasn't, at least from a professional point of view. I think personally, though, it's been a year that I can look back on and I'm like, this is good. You did a lot of good things this year. There's a lot of things you should be proud of. Just like a lot of like mental and emotional like growth and just maturing I've done over the last couple of years. Not just this year specifically, but as you're getting older and you're growing up, that just comes, I guess, by osmosis, but at the same time, there has to be a choice and an effort that has to be put into that, right? And some people choose to grow up, and some people choose not to. But I probably could say for sure this has been a nice revealing year for me of how emotionally strong I really am. And at times I don't give myself enough credit for what I do, at least for my skills. But more importantly, I don't give myself enough credit for how I've been able to adapt and not let things that don't go my way tear me down to the point where I feel empty. And I think that's the worst feeling to have in life, when you get to the point where you just feel nothing inside. And I feel like I've really grown to start really finally trust myself, allow myself to heal, and put myself in a position to forgive myself for things that happened to me, even if I'm not responsible for it. And I think that's the ultimate sign of growth, when you're able to forgive yourself for other people's actions, and that it's really been eye-opening. It's really been an eye-opening year in general for me, for a lot of reasons. So that's my way I would describe my 2022 in three words. Appreciate that question, my man. And then the last batch of questions this week comes from oh man the good brother. I'm sorry we missed out on you last week, my man. Our good brother Mike at Main Event Swerve, he dropped in 16 questions this week. This could be good. Here we go. One elephant in the room question. If you were WWE, did you really have to fire Mandy Rose? Couldn't have been a 60-day suspension. Again, like I mentioned last week, I'm not really going to opine on what they should have or shouldn't have done. That's none of my business. The whole situation is unfortunate. It's a shame that she had to deal with that situation in the first place, that people had no self-respect. You're paying to see her in this element, in this light, right? When it comes to like her fan times page and stuff like that. And cool, if that's your prerogative, that's what you get, to turn yourself on, more power to you. But I would hope you have at least some common decency and some fucking self-respect to not blare that shit out into the public, where, especially for a girl like that that's gone through a lot of personal stuff this year. Not only is that embarrassing, but that's also just outright disrespectful, and I don't think that's cool. Now, as far as suspensions, did she really have to be fired? I don't know. I don't know what really went down, and I'm not letting dirt sheets to tell me what really happened. I'm sorry. I'd rather hear from her than Sean Ross Sapp. That's how I look at it. Question number 2. Roxanne Perez has had a stellar year in WWE. What has stood out most to you about her as she has risen to the top? I like what she does in the ring. She is young, and she's got a lot of time to develop her character and see where things go. I just really like how easy things come to her when it comes to her stuff in the ring and her sequences and stuff like that. She's very talented. Maybe she doesn't do 15 arm drags a match, but If she wants to be the female Ricky Steamboat, knock her socks off. Also, do you see Booker T turning in some way, or at least leaving commentary to manage Roxanne down the line? I feel like something could be up there. No, I don't see that. Unless there was like some big name veteran that would come in to be a manager for another female wrestler. Let's say like Robert Stone became a manager for Zoe Stark or something like that, right? Let's say that Robert Stone would get the heat and talk for Zoe Stark, and he would interfere in matches. Maybe Booker could lead the deaths and beat him up at ringside. But outside of that, I don't see that really happening. And honestly, I don't see Booker T being there for a long time in NXT until Pat McAfee returns and then maybe Wade Barrett comes back. So I don't really see a turn in Booker T turning heel. I mean, he already kind of sounds like a heel when he does commentary, especially when the New Day are out there. So, he's always out there like, oh, come on, man. You got to know, in this business, you got to stab people in the back. You got to beat them up. It's about champagne wishes and caviar dreams. It's about, going out for yourself, not this fun time and playing time shit. Oh, man. All right. Next question. What move or moves were the winner for the MLB free agency? Any new contenders for you as a result? This one goes out to my guy, Andrew McDowell. Shout out to the New York Mets. I don't know how Steve Cohen has all that money up his ass, but it better work out. I'll tell you right now, the Mets and the Padres are really teams that are going to have to, put up or shut up. You're saying all that money, all those 13-year $1 million contracts. So trying to put your money where your mouth is. So I'm happy that the White Sox got Andrew Benintendi. I think the Cubs have made some nice moves so far this offseason. But yeah, Mets and Padres, you got to start winning, man. And then Aaron Judge gets 9 years, $360 million from the Yankees. I don't get it, man. I don't understand it. All right. Who loses their title first in the bloodline, Roman Reigns or the Usos? I honestly can't decide. I think the Usos. Who's to say that Roman Reigns has to lose to WrestleMania? Who says that Roman Reigns has to lose the Universal Championship at WrestleMania? Why does he have to? I don't think so. Question number 6. I keep seeing people talk about best faction in wrestling or the end of the year awards. Are people nuts to name anyone but the Bloodline number 1? Well, let's not forget, Mike, there are a lot of people. There are AEW marks out there that have shows like this, and, I'm sure people will vote for the January 6th Appreciators, the Elite, the Blackpool Cuckold Club. I wouldn't put anything past an AEW fan, so I'll just say that. But it's not even close. The Bloodline's the best faction in all professional wrestling. Even though I will say that United Empire probably deserves some props because they've had a really nice 2022. Question number 7. What's inspired you to start playing an instrument or playing music? That's a great question. What inspired me to start playing music is my grandpa. My grandpa owns a guitar shop here in Chicago. He's been playing guitar most of his life. My nanny, who passed away in 2005, was the matriarch of the family. She was the glue that kept things together. She was the choir director at our family's church. And she played the piano. My Aunt Berta plays piano. So from my mom's side of the family, I come from a musical family, and my inspiration comes from them. But outside of that, I have other musical inspirations, like I mentioned last week, like George Harrison, the Eagles, and Biggie Smalls, and just a whole bunch of stuff. But my primary reason why I started playing guitar and music in general is because of my family. Question number 8. With NFL Blitz coming out with a home arcade version, what was your favorite arcade sports league game? MLB The Bigs, NFL Blitz, or NBA Jam? That's a good question. I'm going to go with NBA Jam. That was my favorite one. NFL Blitz is good, but I was a big NBA Jam fan. Now, if we're talking about just regular football sports video games that are not arcade versions, ESPN NFL 2K5 is number 1, and it's not close. Question number 9. Let's be real. I get that Mercedes Varnado being at WrestleKingdom is a big deal, but what do you see happening there? Is she appearing? One of the few women there are actually wrestling? I think you just answered your question there. I mean, she's not just showing up just to say hi. I think it'd be a shame just to have her pop up at WrestleKingdom for it to be an ad for AEW. Look, I got to the point right now where I really don't care where she shows up. Like, her fan base has turned me off on her so badly, and it's really a shame because there's aspects to Mercedes that I like. I think she's overrated in the ring. I don't think she's good at promos. I'm not going to take away from her matches with Bayley and stuff like that. And I'm not going to say she's a one-hit wonder or anything like that. But I think we all can know by now that she's probably going to AEW. And good for her. Just like Paige, just like anybody else that joins AEW, we'll have to see if Mercedes is the one that makes AEW finally draw over 1 million viewers. Till that happens, they can shoot all the arrows they want. They can sign all the former WWE stars they want. The writing on the wall is right there. She's probably there. She's probably going to have a run-in with either Kairi Sane or whoever wins that IWGP Women's Championship match. But really, like, she'll be there for the pop and all that and the adulation, but I don't think she's there for New Japan. I think she's there for AEW. And then before you know it, it'll be her and Paige against Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter at the Forum, and she'll be all elite, and we'll see how that goes. So, yeah. Question number 10. Okay, so AEW is quite mid, if not just bad. But what has AEW's best moment been in its history? There's been select matches that I think have really stood out in AEW history. I look back at Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes at the first Double or Nothing. That was a fantastic match. Speaking of women, Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, their Lights Out match. If you ask me, I'm probably the wrong person to ask this because most of the time there more misses than hits. But, I'll probably say that the All Out in 2021 was a big moment for them because, having those back-to-back debuts with Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson was a big deal. But again, when you see that go down and see where they've been since, it's not a good look. And I always say my favorite show, unfortunately, my favorite show, and I think the best thing they've ever produced, was the Brody Lee tribute show. And it's kind of a shame to say that, but it's true. My favorite show that AEW has done is the Brody Lee tribute show. And we're coming off, it's coming up to the anniversary of his unfortunate passing. And I miss Brody. And it's a shame that he had to go out like that. But the tribute show was really special. It was really, really good. But yeah, those are the ones that stand out to me. But saying quite mid is quite a compliment. I think you're being fair. I think it's probably below mid at this point, if we're being honest about AEW. Which NXT UK alum had more impressive pay-per-view debut? Orton, Metza, Alvin Carter, Axiom, A-Kid, and NXT Deadline. I'm gonna go A-Kid, man. A-Kid's really good in the ring, man. He's one of those performers where he doesn't really cut a lot of promos, man. I know some people are indifferent about him being in the mask and stuff like that, but, again, let your work speak for you. Don't let other stuff that doesn't matter dictate that. And I think A-Kid's done a fantastic job. He had a really good match with Carmelo Hayes this week, which I thought was really, really good on NXT. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. But I'm just happy that I'm seeing that a lot of the NXT UK people have done some good stuff on the NXT 2.0 brand. And, you got Aoife Valkyrie, Live Valkyria now there. You have Island Dawn. God, what a beautiful woman that is. Since we're talking about UK and stuff like that, I've really become like a big fan of the Emily in Paris show on Netflix. I know this has nothing to do with wrestling, but I just have to say this. I'm a big fan of that show. And honestly, those are type of shows that I probably would not watch on a normal basis. Like, you're not going to see me watching, like, The Bachelor or Love Island or stuff like that. I'm not really all into the girly shit, but I started watching the show about a couple of weeks ago, and I guess they already had 2 seasons in the bag, and I just binge watched both of those, and I fell in love with the show. Now, it helps that my current celebrity crush is the star of the show, that being Lily Collins, but this show is just very entertaining for the entire crew. The cast is really good. They just dropped season 3 on Wednesday. I'm halfway through it. Probably going to finish that up this weekend. But I just want to give a shout out to Emily in Paris because that show is awesome. All right, let's go to the next question. I accidentally cut my finger taking a Ninja Blender blade out of the dishwater the other day. So, what was the dumbest injury you've ever had? Probably spraining my ankle, letting my cousin roll over the back of my ankle while playing Johnny Tackle after school. Johnny Tackle's another way to say tackle football on concrete. Yeah, that was not fun. So that's probably the one that stands out the most to me. And probably the worst injury I ever had, to be honest with you. Question number 13. Does Pat McAfee get a match at WrestleMania and against who? Gimmick match? I don't know. I think either he does just straight commentary or he fights The Miz at WrestleMania. That's how I see it going. Could it be Pat McAfee against Logan Paul? Maybe. But I think you're more likely to see Pat McAfee versus The Miz than anything else on the show. So that'd be my guess. All right. Next question. Did you see the World Cup final match? If so, how amazing was that? I did see the highlights and then I did not watch it live. I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest soccer fan in the world. But I won't deny the energy and how big the crowd was and how exciting that was. The energy was real. And congrats to Messier and Argentina. That was a pretty cool moment out there in Qatar. So congrats to Argentina on winning the World Cup. I thought that was pretty cool. Last 2 questions here for the Q&A this week. I've heard rumors, but do you want to see Stephen A. Smith in WWE for Mania? I wouldn't mind it. Going back to about celebrities and stuff like that. Let's say Stephen A. Smith is the host of WrestleMania in LA. Let's just throw that out there. Let's say Stephen A. Smith is the host of WrestleMania, both nights of WrestleMania. I think that'd be pretty cool. Let's say that Stephen A. Smith is the manager for The Miz against Pat McAfee. Or, I don't know where I would go there. Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I think Stephen A. would do a good job there. I'm kind of hit and miss when it comes to first take. Bali is not my cup of tea. I'm not a fan of Swagoo. Can you get him a different microphone? Holy shit, man. He sounds horrible when he's on those shows. Like, everybody has like his professional sounding microphone. He sounds like a fucking he sounds like a beluga whale with his microphone. It's just bad. Like, he says good stuff, I can understand it, but it's just the audio quality. It's just bad. Like, I don't know why he's still doing the quarantine Zoom setup. It's weird. Last question here. He said, again, what's the best Christmas gift you ever received? I'll wrap this up, like I said, as always, is the Beatles Rock Band. The Beatles Rock Band says my favorite Christmas gift of all time. With that being said, I want to thank Pat, Nate, Chris, and Mike for some awesome questions this week. You guys killed it, as always. If you ever want to participate in the Back Porch Q&A session, all you have to do is hit me up at Twitter at the Hoots Podcast or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. When we come back, I'm going to go over the card really quick for WrestleKingdom 17, and then we'll get ready to rock and roll with this week, not this week in WWE, but what the hell is wrong with AEW? So sit back, relax, straight down. We'll be right back in just a second. You're listening to the Hoots Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monday Night Raw. My name is Paul Heyman, and I serve as special counsel and the wise man to your tribal chief, the reigning, defending, undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion, Roman Reigns.
Monday Night Raw. The home of Kevin Owens. The home that Kevin Owens continues to leave and continually tries to crash the gates of the island of relevancy. And he's not by himself. No, who'd he go to get? John Cena. Kevin, you're going to need way more than that. As a matter of fact, you're going to need the entire Raw locker room. You're going to need them all to have your back. Because you've interfered in my business a little too much. So now it's time we return the favor and showcase the resources that we have, the juice that we've got. Because we're not going anywhere. We're going to torture you. We're going to make your life a living hell. Until you understand the fact, and everybody in that locker room, and everybody in the audience acknowledges the bloodline.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Hoots Podcast. Ready to rock and roll here. Talk a little bit about what's going on this week in WWE and everything in between here in the world of professional wrestling. Welcome back to the program, as Pat McAfee would say. Yeah, we got some stuff to discuss here before we get to our main event segment this week. Do want to mention that Raw next week will be a best of show. So, looks like your boy will finally get a chance to relax a little bit on Monday night and see what I can peruse from my transcripts and what they choose to showcase on that special. Man, it's going to be interesting how they format that for 3 hours. But, yeah, the last big show for WWE, at least the last live show for WWE, will be December 30th. And SmackDown was in Chicago this past Friday night. I did not get to go to the show, but it was a big special night there. First and foremost, before we get into the meats and potatoes of the segment this week, I do want to give a shout out to Ricochet and Gunther because that Intercontinental Championship match was fantastic. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. It's one of my favorite TV matches of the year so far, and it was a fun one to type out. Also, shout out to Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. I really enjoyed that segment. It was a really cool environment. Ain't all the WWE shows at the Allstate Arena always just a good time? I love that building. I wish I went to this show, but anyways, it capped off with the Austin Bloodline John Cena segment. We found out that Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn will be taking on the team of John Cena and Kevin Owens in Tampa Bay a week from tomorrow, the final WWE show of 2022. That's going to be a big time show. It really is. I'm excited to see how that plays out. And tomorrow is another tape show from Chicago. It's the Christmas edition of SmackDown, and we have a Miracle on 34th Street Fight with Braun Strowman and Ricochet taking on Imperium and some other stuff that was taped for the show. I don't look at spoilers. I only going off of what I saw was announced in my transcript here, but yeah, so I thought SmackDown was pretty cool. I thought Raw was pretty solid as well this past week. Nice thread of the bloodline just throughout the entire show. The main event was Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins against the Usos. Shows in Des Moines, Iowa. Bayley had a big victory over Becky Lynch. Miz won thanks to help from Dexter Lumis in that ladder match with Miz and Lumis for the two bags of money. I'm curious to see where this goes. Is it a tag team deal? Does Miz and Johnny Gargano start getting into their side of this feud? I'm curious to see where that's going to play out. Who knows who you bring in? Do you implement Candice? Do you bring Maurice in? There's a lot of different layers who can make it interesting and keep it going. But again, the constant idea about, I can't believe how quiet the crowds are. This is because AEW crowds are loud every single segment of the match. Doesn't mean it's a good thing. Okay? I can't believe people are so fooled by, man, you go to AEW shows, the shows are always lively. Yeah, it's a bunch of drunk 18 and 45-year-olds in the crowd. They got nothing else to do but cheer and chant Fight Forever 2 minutes into a match. Doesn't mean the show's good. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the stuff I wanted to mention for the WWE. Curious to see what's going to go down for that 30th anniversary show for Raw. That show's going to be in Philly, by the way, at the Wells Fargo Center. That's going to be interesting because I think a lot of big-time people are going to be there at that event, and you get some clues as far as what's going to go down at WrestleMania this coming year in L.A. So I'm curious to see how that's going to play out. They announced 2 big title matches coming up for the first Raw of 2023. It's Bianca Belair against Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship, plus Seth Rollins against Austin Theory. By the way, Seth Rollins and Austin Theory segment this week on Raw was pretty good too as well. If you guys haven't seen that, go check that out. So, real quick, that's some of my thoughts from this week in WWE. I mentioned to check out the Carmelo Hayes from Axiom match from NXT as well, by the way. And let's wrap it up with this. Let's go over really quick the match card for WrestleKingdom. WrestleKingdom 17 is coming up soon. Let's see which date is. It's on a Wednesday, of course. It is the January 4th show. It's going to take place at the Tokyo Dome. And that's what we got announced so far here for the date. We have 10 matches on the main card and 2 matches on the pre-show. We got Young Gun Line Roy Oiwa against Bolton Oleg, and then we have a New Japan Rambo where the winner will become the number 1 contender for the KOPW 2023 Provisional Trophy. We have an Antonio Inoki Memorial 6-man tag match, which features Yuji Nagata, Satoshi Kojima, and Togi Magami against Tatsumi Fujinami, Minoru Suzuki, and Tiger Mask. We got United Empire's Cash 2-2, TJ Perkins, and Francisco Akira putting their IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles against Leo Rush and Yo. We have Kairi Sane putting her IWGP Women's Championship on the line against Tam Nakano. That's going to be a good match. We have FTR against Bishamon, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi. That's going to be a fun match. That's for the IWGP Tag Team titles. Zack Sabre Jr. against Ren Narita. That's going to be the tournament final for the inaugural NJPW World Television Championship. We have Carl Anderson with Doc Gallows against Tabataga with Jado. That's for the Never Openweight Championship. We have the Great Mutas. Now, really is going to be the Great Mutas' last match in New Japan. It's Great Muta, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Shota Umino against Naito, Sanada, and Bushi. We have the fatal four-way match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, which features Taichi Ishimori, El Desperado, Hiromu Takahashi, and Master Wato. We have the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship match with Will Ospreay against Kenny Omega. And then we got Jay White against Okada for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Now, normally, if you listen to a wrestling podcast like this, you'll hear people whining about where certain performers are booked on a card. You all want to complain about Bronson Reed beating Okada in the G1, but you're not going to make a noise for the fact that Shingo Takagi walked into WrestleKingdom last year as a champion, and now he's not even having a match announced for the WrestleKingdom. He's healthy. He's doing his thing. He's healthy. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, this card is really good, man. I'm really excited for it. It's gonna be an interesting show. It's gonna be fun to watch, and I look at. I feel like some things are gonna go really well for this event. And, you know, the four-way should be a barn burner, can steal the show. Of course, you got your Will Ospreay Omega match. I'm looking for that myself, and I'm not even the biggest Kenny Olivier fan out there. Wyatt Okada, this card is very good. New Japan does not fail you when it comes to cards for WrestleKingdom, man. You know, FTR and Bishamon. It's just barn burners at the barn burners on this show, and it's gonna be pretty cool. They say here there's a show that's coming up on the 21st. I don't know what that is. I guess there's another WrestleKingdom show that's taking place at the Yokohama Arena on the 21st. So we'll have to see if we get any announcements out of that. But that's pretty much it. But right now they're doing the Road to Tokyo Dome shows. I'm recording this on a Thursday. Tomorrow morning they'll be having the final Suzuki Gun match. The faction known as Suzuki Gun is disbanding as of 2022, so they're having their final match tomorrow in the main event of that show. Today's main event was Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Yo against Suzuki, Lance Archer, and Doki, which was a pretty good match. So, all right. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, I like the card for WrestleKingdom. It should be a good time, and that's what's going on in the world of professional wrestling. I know we got Hard to Kill coming up soon, so I'll make sure to preview that pay-per-view once we get closer to that. But, yeah, that's what's going on this week in WWE. Now it's time, everybody, for the main event. The main event of the evening, what everybody waits for, what they need. A nice Christmas edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. Let's start this off with a 3, 2, 1.
Beat your meat, 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 beat your meat.
I'm telling you, my time is right now. Right this minute, 2022. We're living in my time is now. My time is right goddamn now.
Man, what intensity.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW?
All right, folks, it's go time. Let's do it. It's What the Hell is Wrong with AEW? AKA, what isn't wrong with AEW? You know, when it comes to AEW, it's just like the holiday season. The gifts, just they keep on giving. Now, when I mention gifts, it's like the gifts that AEW give professional wrestling is like the gifts that your aunts or uncles would give you. You know, your Aunt Judy, she'll give you that nice 3-pack of socks. You know, your uncle will give you maybe a bottle of cologne and maybe some underwear or whatever. Stuff like that. That's how AEW is for us wrestling fans. We get the shit end of gifts when it comes to professional wrestling. Now, that's not to say that there weren't good stuff on this program last night on Dynamite. But it wouldn't be AEW without some nonsense. But I will start off in a positive tone and talk about the stuff I did like on the show. For example, let's hear a little bit here from... All right, I guess the audio's not going to work with us when it comes to the promo here, but that's fine. We'll keep going here. All right, I really enjoyed the stuff with Ricky Starks, his side of the promo. Again, I am biased to this, so I'm the wrong person to look at it, but I'm just going to keep it 100 with you guys. The stuff with Chris Jericho and the Jericho Appreciation side is just pure ass. I like what Ricky said. I thought it was funny, some aspects of what he was saying, and nothing he said in the promo segment was wrong. I thought it was pretty funny, but the rest of it was just pure doo-doo butter. It was not good, and yeah, that was not fun to sift through. You know, Jericho has his lyrics in Judas Right. He's like, "I'll drag you down." Yeah, you ain't kidding. You dragged down Eddie Kingston. What? Dragged down MJF. What? Drag down anybody else in the roster? What? Orange Cassidy? What? Yeah, why we need Ricky Starks and Chris Jericho? Chris Jericho is not going to get Ricky Starks more over than what he already is. I just thought that 6 months of Ricky Starks and Chris Jericho is unnecessary. So they're going to fight each other on the first Dynamite of 2023. Whoopity-doo! And then you'll have a match with Daniel Garcia. What? Then you'll have a match with... It'll be... I can hear Excrement right now saying it. Coming up on Rampage, it's gonna be Ricky Starks and Extra Andretti taking on the team of Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager. Like, I can see that come from a mile away. I don't know what we're doing with that. I really don't. There's other stuff on the show I liked. I liked the stuff with Ethan Page and Stokely Hathaway and Bryan Danielson. I thought that was pretty funny. Thought the promo went a little bit too long, but I thought it was fine it served its purpose. The Jon Moxley Darius Martin match was fine. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty entertaining. I liked aspects of FTR in the Gun Club, and I don't really have an issue with the Gun Club winning the match. I just thought it was there. So I felt like something was off while I was transcribing that match. But, yeah, so the Gun Club defeated FTR last night on Dynamite if you missed it. And then the main event, Jamie Hayter against Hikaru Shida. I enjoyed the physicality, but more importantly, I was happy for them for they got the opportunity to main event Dynamite last night. So, in this case, there was more things to like this week than we usually get for AEW, so trying to be a little festive here. And there was some good stuff on Dynamite this week, but hey, man, it wouldn't be an AEW show without a bunch of bullshit, right? So, not only in the first 35 minutes of the broadcast, we have Chris Jericho again trying to make everything about him. We had a 25-minute no disqualification match with the Elite and Death Triangle where the Elite win. And then we have the Elite get beat down by the Death Triangle, and the Death Triangle makes them bleed and all this stuff. And then I have to mention this too. Look, I know it was a feel-good moment last week with Action Andretti, having the upset over the Ocho and stuff like that, and Chris Jericho is salty about it. Boo, 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 boo. But honestly, though, did I need to see Action Andretti get hit with a fucking fireball? Was that necessary? Did that get Action Andretti any more over? I just thought that was stupid. Speaking of stupid, wouldn't be an AEW show without something stupid, right? I do not care about Jungle Boy getting in a feud with the Firm. The Firm sucks. What else? Oh, also, I like the Powerhouse Hobbs. There's a couple backstage segments I forgot to mention. The Samoa Joe promo to Warlord, I thought was pretty good, and the Powerhouse Hobbs vignette was good as well. So I'll get those out of the way. How about this? I'll give you guys a little early treat here. Let's do the excrement impression right now. Let's look at this lineup for Rampage, because I saw this last night as I heard Shivani and excrement stumble over their words trying to pronounce this fucking thing. Let's do this properly. Let's do the excrement impression right now. Coming to you live on TNT this Friday night. It's a special holiday bash edition of Rampage. We have the 300,000 Three Kings Christmas Casino Trios Royale. It's a Trios Battle Royal where the winner gets $300,000. Then we have Jay Cargill take on Verviskin in the AEW TS Championship Eliminator match. In the main event, it's Anthony Bowens and Billy Gunn with Max Caster taking on a team of Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Then coming up on Dynamite from Denver, Colorado, it is Samoa Joe against Wardlow for the AEW TNT Championship. It's match 6 of the Best of 7 series for the... I'll get to that later. So those are the matches that are announced so far. But what in the ever blue fuck is a 300,000 Three Kings Christmas Casino Trios game? Name it Front of Burnham. What are we doing here? What is this? the 300,000 Three Kings Christmas Casino Royale. Holy fuck. A battle royal of trios. You got more trios and factions than you got tag teams in AEW. This is not good. Speaking of stuff that was not good, no, I don't need to hear fucking Sanjay Dutt rapping. Please remove all microphones away from Sanjay Dutt. I respect what he did in the ring in TNA, all that stuff, but him and this whole shtick and this whole group with Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal is absolute trash. It's not good. It's not entertaining. It's just there. Who gives a shit? Who really cares? I gotta get into this. Everybody is talking about, Triple H is disappointed in his returns and stuff like that. Okay, well, can you tell me what the fuck's going on with Keith Lee and Shea Strickland? Because holy shit, man, that may have been one of the worst segments I've ever seen on TV in wrestling. And I'm not exaggerating here. This was bad. Like, really, really bad. And I'm a fan of Rick Ross. And this is the thing with Tony Khan. Like, you gotta know to read the room. Having Shivani out there being lost, not knowing what to do, was not a good look. Going into the segment overstays his welcome. Swerve Strickland 1 week says he has no friends. Then out comes the cosplay Brock Lesnar guy and the fucking cosplay of Kazarni and Hayter Jr. with braids comes out to beat up Keith Lee. And then Swerve beats him up with cinder blocks. Doing the whole Seth Rollins bit on Dean Ambrose from Raw for, 5 or 6 years ago? Like, this was not good, guys. This segment was fucking bad. Like, really, really bad. I almost turned the channel. That's how bad that segment was as I was covering the show live last night. I did not enjoy it one bit. The whole run with Keith Lee and Swerve so far in AEW has been a complete and utter mess. Then we go to the main event. And, again, I liked the match. Don't get me wrong. I thought the match was fine between both ladies. I didn't have an issue with that. But it goes back to the stuff that we see all the time on Dynamite where it's like, you have a match, but you have unnecessary run-ins and spots that are just not necessary. Whether it's in the opening match where you have Brandon Cutlet and Michael knocking the fuck off, doing spots with Alex Abrahantes, or the fact that Alex Abrahantes got in the way of the BTE trigger. Like, come on, man. That's just stupid. And then whether it's a Jamie Hayter or Britt Baker match, enough with Rebel already. She sucks. She's not good. Get off my TV, please, for the love of God. So, like, you have these predictable afterbirth brawls. So, you know, they're beating up on Shida. Out comes Toni Storm. She gets her ass kicked. Out comes Saraya and her sexy ass. Man, that girl is fucking hot. I ain't gonna lie. That girl is hot as shit. She gets hotter as she matures, if you will, as the days and years go by. But yeah, like, I understood why they did it. They want to implement Saraya in the world title picture, and fine. I don't have a problem with that. But it's like, you close out the show. Can we let some shit breathe sometimes? Why do we always need a WCW post-match brawl to close up Dynamite? I just don't get that philosophy. I really don't. Is it the old, that's continuity. This is storyline development. No, it's just lazy nonsense that we don't need to see on TV all the time. It's just bad. So, all in all, this Dynamite wasn't as offensive to me, but honestly, that Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland segment really brought down this show for me from an overall standpoint. It took this show from being okay to just absolutely repug, and it happens way too many times, and that is why, my friends, we ask the question each and every single week: what the hell's wrong with AEW? Who knows? We'll never know the answer to that question. We should know. We see it every single week on TBS and TNT. All right, folks. We're going to put a ribbon on the bow for this week's edition of the Hoots Podcast. Hope you guys had a good time hanging out with me, as always. You can follow me on Twitter at the Hoots Podcast. Make sure to hit me up on Instagram at Josh Lopez Media, at Josh Lopez Music. Make sure to bookmark my work at ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast. It comes to you free of charge every single Thursday, anywhere you get your podcast from. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe, like the video. That was expand the reach of the show. It really means a lot to myself and Brother Carter. And make sure to support his work at DerekStott.com and WrestlingRumors.net. Remember, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself. And remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the band upstairs. Hope you have a wonderful holiday weekend. We'll be back here next week. Don't worry, this is not the last episode of 2022, but I want to thank the guys for hanging out with me, and for Pat, Mike, Chris, and Nate, who sent some awesome questions for the Back Porch Q&A this week. I really do appreciate that. And this was a fun show, so hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas. Be safe out there for everybody here in the Midwest. They're dealing with this blizzard, and hope everybody makes the best out of it. But with all that being said, I'm Joshie. This has been episode 340 of the Hoots Podcast. We are 10 episodes away from reaching 350, and we'll be here to talk to y'all next week on the Hoots podcast. Yes, sir.